Welcome back to the Sloppy Horror Podcast. I am your host and your scary movie companion, Christian Ramey, and back again for another week, clapping them ass cheeks, the best producer in the whole wide world, Mr. Ozark Mark. Mark, how we doing down there?
Hi.
We're burning up down here.
Yes, no, we're not, because we, my friend, you and me, are not going to hell.
Well, yet. That's a good point.
Yet. Who knows? But we're not going there right now. But I'll tell you who is. I'll tell you who is.
Who?
A little man named Jason.
Yep.
Jason. He's going to hell, and we're here to tell you about it.
Jason goes to hell.
Nah, fuck.
Jason goes to hell. I see. He's scary.
I wasn't expecting that one.
Jason
Go to hell. He go to hell.
You go to hell, Jason.
He go to hell. Don't come back.
You don't need to be here.
No.
That's how I heard it. You know, I thought that was the funniest.
That's how it is now. Oh yeah.
Jason go to hell.
Why does that work so well?
I don't know. I just like the right amount of syllables for it to, you know.
Yeah, it's perfect. It rolls off the tongue. But yeah, we're talking about Jason go to hell. So.
Fuck. I thought it and didn't really say it out loud. Now that it's actually, you know, it's working.
Yeah, it's working.
That's right, though, boys and girls. We're not going to hell, but by the end of this episode, we hope to have dragged you there, to the bottom, all right? You'll have met Spawn, he's down there, and Jason, all right? Well, maybe just mainly Jason. We have another installment. I guess we can't say it's a Friday the 13th because it's under New Line, so they had to play around with the rights. But we're gonna, for the sake of and say that it is a Friday the 13th movie because it is another installment of the Jason. Now, here's kind of a thing, and I don't know why it's this way, but obviously myself, I am a big fan of horror movies. I am not a big fan of having a shitload of watered down sequels. Not a big fan of that. But there's an exception. There are a few exceptions. There are just a few franchises that just fall in the category of like, I don't care anymore. Friday the 13th and Halloween, all right? Now, I will judge your adaptation to say if I like your movie or not, but like, I'm not mad. I don't want to see one every year, but Friday the 13th and Halloween, we have just grown to see, like, we just expect it to be different. They're like, all of them are what you would call a retcon, where it's just, oh yeah, in this one, they're not brother and sister. Oh yeah, in this one, Jason can shift bodies. Oh yeah, in this one, Jason, it's not actually him, it's a paramedic. Oh yeah, in this one, they didn't actually cut Michael Myers' head off. Like, that's just what, like, these are. That's what you expect them to be. And I get mad at that with other ones. Sometimes it's like, look, man, enough is enough. Quit with this shit. Like, can't we just have like a good trilogy or just have a good thing? Can't we just have new original titles instead of just sequel? But not the case with this. And I don't know if I was just the right age, me being born in 89, like where I grew up with a lot of these tapes, and it's a lot different now. You know, if you're going to binge something, you start from beginning to end, and you have access to, like, whatever the hell you're watching. Bro, if you watched Game of Thrones in, like, 96, you'd probably have 3 random VHS tapes. Obviously, the show wasn't in existence. But you could have 3 VHS tapes from the whole franchise. And, like, that's how you know it. It was just weird, the movies that people were close to, and the weird, like, you might only know a sequel to a movie. You might not know the original just because that's how owning media was back then. It was just random, the tapes you would have or the things that you would view. Now it's a lot different. You got to be really chronological. So a lot of these movies were made to kind of exist on their own. Like, you could just go pick this up and it's just like, whatever. Like, I don't have to watch something beat for beat for beat. That kind of became a TV show thing, like an episodic thing. You know, you get like The Sopranos and other shows like that, like where it's like, you better not miss or you've fucked up everything. It wasn't really a thing back then. Like, people just go see a movie and then they leave. It was just it was the Jason picture. They weren't taking it so literal. So I grew up with these, so I have a little bit of forgiveness in my heart. And as we said last week, this is 1993, so we're battling against the 83 movie of Jaws 3. And neither of these movies are amazing. Kind of the battle of the shitties within the city, within the season.
Yeah.
But great flicks in their own way. This particular one, Jason Goes to Hell, I watched this a lot, all right? At a young age. At an age I probably shouldn't have, all right? At an age, this was early porn for me. This was first access to pornography. And then it's funny, years later, because Friday the 13th are like this, all right? They're liars, and they trick you because they make you believe that these women are horny like that all the time at a young age, all right? And I'm not gonna sit here and act like I didn't get my fair amount of play when I was a young man, because I definitely did. But what they don't work out is the amount of work. When you're older, it's so different. When you're younger, you can literally calculate what you've had to do to bust this nut. You're like, man, I bought cologne, I paid for dinner, I got this nice t-shirt. There's things that you have to do. But later on in life, your girl could look at you like, you want me to suck your dick before work? I know you got a big meeting. There's not even sexual. You're just like, thank you. Thank you. It's that.
Where the fuck is that at?
Thank you for being considered. Oh, I'm telling you that.
Does that happen to you?
It does, for sure.
No, it's a bullshit. Fuck
for sure.
you.
I get both elements of it. There can be the surprise and the fun, but I'm just telling you
the surprise.
As you get older with people, I think there's a funny difference, because it's you just get more of the point I'm making is women's insides, they don't get horny like that till they get late 20s, 30s. A young girl could be ready to go and jetty, but it's a lot more am I doing a good job? Please give me reassurance. An older woman's I'm gonna fuck your face. You're like, oh my god, ma'am, I'm a nice boy. They make you feel a type of way when you're older. When you're younger, you didn't feel that intimidation. It was a lot more work. You can get laid, but it was man, I had to do a lot to do this. And there's girls are whinier when they're younger. When you get older, it's just a lot more of I'm gonna suck the soul at you. You're like, oh my god, ma'am, I'm a Christian. You get oh, leave me alone. And I just think that Friday the 13th, they're big liars because they switched that up. But also they're liars because they had me, I'm thinking that that's what sex was. And this was some of the most awkward, weirdest sex scenes in here that's not real. This woman riding on top of this man inside of the tent, it looked like she was being sodomized with a stick. I mean, it was... It was what the fuck is happening here? It's nothing that I've experienced a lot, but it didn't look enjoyable. Great kill, by the way. It was a great kill, but as I got older, I realized, all right, and then also inside of this tent, these guys are rolling around every 12 seconds. That's not how it works, all right? That's not how it works, all right? You can ring the bell on her, and then you can switch positions. You're not just rolling around. This isn't fucking Muay Thai. We're not in here in full gi rolling around in here. That just seems like a lot of work. That seems how you bend your shit backward. You break your shit. You can't just be somersaulting and tumbling around while you're one. That doesn't work.
Maybe he had a little one and he could do that.
Dude.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I want you to go back and, next time you guys watch the shadow work of this tent. You're like, that's just a lot of, it's kind of like the shower sex thing where you're like, oh, yeah. And then you're in there and you're like, dude, this is a lot of work on my end that I did not want to participate. You get older.
Sex sucks, dude.
Yeah.
It does. Water in there, you slip and slide everywhere. It's fucking hot because girls always fucking take a shower at boiling hot temperature, so it's hard to focus.
Yeah.
And then you gotta slip and slide around. Your height differential probably never works.
Spin around a rotisserie.
Someone's either gotta be on their tippy toes or you gotta fucking do it in a squat position. You know what I mean? If you don't do squats regularly, it's gonna hurt your knees.
I'm not trying to fucking squat in a sauna.
No.
That's crazy. But when you're younger, that's one thing they do illustrate with the Friday the 13th, because you'll do all kinds of dumb shit. When you get older, straight up, if it just sounds dumb, you're probably not gonna do it. yeah, if you come drive across town and get me from my friends and then drive me to your house and then drive me back and then you can feed me and then you're... Yeah, I'm probably not going to do that. Probably not. No. Like, that's the thing. But when you're younger, you're like, oh, yeah. I'll rent a plane. I will fucking run there. Like, you know.
Put
Like,
a hole in the wall, God damn it.
yeah, exactly. You get older, you're just like, I got to do what now?
No.
Your grandparents are coming to town? I don't, I'm actually been reconsidering this whole thing. you just get a lot more choosy with your time. But Friday the 13th, always there to illustrate what it's like to be young people. Now, before we get too far, we should fill the shoes really quick. So let's hit the segment and the bumper.
Fill them shoes. We about to fill them shoes.
Yeah! Welcome back to Fill Them Shoes, where we're going to take a shit in your shoes.
We about to fill the shoe.
Yeah. Actually, we're not going to shit in your shoes,
Fill
but
the shoe.
if you're new to the show, obviously we like to bring you to the premise of what this is all about. On the Fill Them Shoes segments, we like to point out what year the movies came out, because I think that's kind of important. It's important to put yourself in the frame of mind of when the movie came out, because you try to watch it now, you might think it's corny. So, I like to remind you, people watching on YouTube, you better subscribe or else I'm going to be upset.
Do it, fucker.
Audio listeners, make sure you're leaving ratings. Means the world. Follow us on everything.
We should get a lot. If you guys all do it, he'll stop talking about it.
I will free the hostages. All right. So, Jason Goes to Hell. This dropped on August 13th, 1993.
How convenient.
Yes. All right. Number one song at the time is a song that we have covered before. It has been a number one song. They're not Jamaican, but white Jamaican music, UB40, Can't Help Falling in Love with You, which is strange. Red wine people.
Okay.
But I think it is worth it to point out the number two song at the time this movie came out. Party people! Tag team! Back again.
White girl rap.
Well... Here's the great part about 90s rap, Mark. A lot more white people could participate because they gave instructions. I feel a hoop coming up.
Oh, yeah, they gotta have instructions. If there's not instructions for it, we suck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like, not only, like, he didn't even jump in with hoop. He told us there's a hoop coming up. So, like, we knew. We felt it. We felt the rise of the hoop.
That's how we get ready.
Hoop.
Yeah.
Hoop.
Oh, there we go.
Hoop.
Yeah.
We're in there.
I know.
Well, yeah, we're in there. I mean, some of us have more rhythm than others.
Look,
but
we like instructions. We don't like reading instructions, but we like instructions. So that's helpful.
Oh, yeah. That helps out big time.
They knew what they were doing.
Tag team, back again. Yeah. We knew what was up.
Oh, yeah.
Whoop, there it is. That's simple. Bro, you couldn't have played sports in the 90s. Those were jock jams.
Oh, they were there. They were at every middle school game, every high school
Rhythm is a
game,
dancer.
every goddamn basketball game, everything.
Everybody get up. Dude, I'm dropping an extra 30 points to that. Like, you get in a zone when those tracks drop. So that was right around the time. Movies, number one at the time was The Firm. Number two, Jurassic Park. Only in theaters for about a month at that time. So, pretty awesome. In the Line of Fire, Sleepless in Seattle, Rookie of the Year, Dennis the Menace, Free Willy, Hocus Pocus, Poetic Justice. These are just a few, all right? These are just a few. Bill Clinton became the president that year. Slick Willie.
Before he got his dick sucked.
Yep. Also, in February of 93, the World Trade Center bombing happened.
That's a nice one. Thank you for bringing that up.
Well, it's just the relevance. If people were alive, they could say, I remember that time.
Oh.
This was also the time frame where Snapple got really popular.
Yeah, I remember when Snapple came. When Snapple was there.
Yep. That year, our NBA champs in 93 were the Chicago Bulls.
Who would have thought?
Major League Baseball champs were the Toronto Blue Jays.
Oh, look at that.
The NFL champions of 1993 were the Dallas Cowboys, and your NHL champs were the Montreal Canadiens. Top shows at the time were Home Improvement, Grace Under Fire, Seinfeld, Roseanne, Frasier, Coach. You remember Talk Boys, the little Home Alone toy where you could talk back into it? It was like a voice recorder.
Yeah.
Those were very popular back then.
Yeah, that was fun playing around with as a kid.
So you guys got your Talk Boys, you got your Snapples, all right? You're in your Bulls jersey.
Snapples.
you guys feel like you're, relevant for Jason Goes to Hell. You guys are in the right frame of mind.
Yeah.
So, I guess we can get into a synopsis here. This one's a little bit more difficult. It's usually for slashers, I really don't even give a premise. It's like Jason kills people. That's it.
This is actually kind of complicated.
It is. So what we have here is new rules for Jason. Jason can transform bodies. At the beginning of this movie, we have a sting operation to set up Jason at Crystal Lake. They set up like a decoy, like a hot FBI girl or fucking CIA. I don't know who this lady is or what police force. The Crystal Lake Police Force. She's coming out. She's coming out. like I don't know where she's from, but she's just a part of some like super troop SWAT team, right? Like.
Right.
So they're coming here to fuck up Jason, and she goes and gets naked and takes a shower. Lights shut out.
Which is hilarious. That's how they set it up. It's so funny to me.
And then also,
just imagine being in the boardroom with them. It's like, how are we gonna get Jason? Well, Cynthia, she's hot. Let's just make her get naked and take a shower, and then he'll come out.
That'll work.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant.
Also funny too, the music in Jason Goes to Hell is unique in its own way, a lot different from any other franchise. They got some minor league baseball player, organ player in there, and he's just like dun dun, everything it's on a keyboard. It's really over the top and funny, but I've really associated it with Jason Goes to Hell, and I like that the video game incorporated some of those baseball organ over dramatic noises. But it's just one of those things, in my opinion, that make the movie. Well, they set up Jason, then Jason's blown up body, because they shoot him to 1 billion pieces. They take him to the morgue. Then Jason's heart starts to pump, and it calls the mortician, which the mortician, by the way, what the fuck is that guy's name? That guy is hilarious. The guy from Rocky V.
Yep.
That's the guy from Rocky V. Touch me and I'll sue. Remember that guy?
Mm-hmm. He's in a lot of stuff.
Come on, Balboa.
He's in a lot of stuff. I forget his name, but he's in a lot of things.
And what it made me want to see was really what I wanted to see was that guy fight Rocky. All right, come on, Balboa. Is it the Richard Gant? Yeah, that's the guy's name.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that guy is fucking awesome.
Yeah, he's in a shit ton of movies.
I love that guy. Well, he eats Jason's heart, and then he goes on a rampage. But he needs to keep changing bodies. Common theme with killers at this time. Obviously, we had Chucky. Even with Freddy, he had to go into somebody's body to live. It's just a concept. And then the other trope is that a Voorhees has to kill him, and he's got a couple surviving family members. So they go a little Halloween on us where he comes back to kill the surviving family members.
Yeah, so only a Voorhees can kill a Voorhees, and only a Voorhees can make him regenerate or reborn or whatever.
Right, and the cool part is there's a guy in this. His name is Duke, and this guy is fucking the guy who explains it. And he's really hard to explain who he's like a bounty hunter. He's like a black cowboy bounty hunter, and he just says really corny shit, but it's kind of funny. But he's the one who lays down the new rules of Jason and how it all works. And he's kind of the Dr. Loomis of the situation, trying to save it.
Yeah, how do you figure all that shit out anyway?
I don't know, bro. He was just into weird shit.
I guess so.
He was into weird shit. But movie resolves. Obviously, Jason gets dragged to hell. At the end of the movie, Freddy Krueger's arm comes out and brings his mask down.
I like that.
I did too.
I like that little homage that they did there.
Mm-hmm.
They shared a cool little way to end it.
They shared the same studio at the time, so it was they were able to do that.
Might as well.
So it was fun. And then Kane Hodder is in the movie, and he is Jason. When it's Jason, he's also the security guard, one of the security guards at the beginning. Mm-hmm. But interesting. Different Jasons, but I feel like it's okay because this has already happened. This isn't new to the franchise. This has kind of already been this way. So I just think as far as a slasher and a late 80s, early 90s movie, it's just a chef's kiss of that. And I'm happy it exists because I can watch it and it takes me to that time frame. Very simply, where movies kind of look like that, and it was just different. The early 90s were a weird time in that regard. But I grew up with this one, and I I can't help it, but I love it. And it's trash, and I know it, but I love it. So, Mark, was this your first time seeing this one?
Yes.
Any initial impressions?
No. I mean, it's not that it wasn't anything like special. I did like the way Jason looked.
Mm-hmm.
It was a pretty cool look for him.
I liked his hair.
Yeah.
It's like just a few strands back there.
Mask was pretty cool. It was an interesting concept of how he regenerates, because like I don't think they've explained that in any of the previous ones of how he keeps coming back or regenerates. So that was cool to finally put an explanation of that.
I like that a lot too.
There were some good kills in it. Yeah, boobies. It's a Jason movie. I mean, it's got all the nicks and things in it, bad acting, cheesy stuff in it. So not bad.
Mm-hmm.
It's not bad. Didn't hate it.
I tell you too, for being such like a maybe uneventful sequel in the franchise, one of the coolest like covers. I don't know if you guys can see that from in there, but it's got one of the coolest covers ever. It's just flames with like a sweet mask. Like, that's an iconic cover. I love that. Like, in a video store in the 90s, that's what calls me. That's what I'm picking up.
It stands out. It's like all bright yellow.
And then
or
Jason,
orange or whatever. So.
Jason Goes to Hell. You're like, motherfucker. I can't not see this. Like, I have to see this. So, legendary installment. But I guess it really depends on when you were born. If you were born in the 70s, you know, I know that a lot of those people really start to cut off after 4 or 5, and they're just like, fuck the rest of them. Some people really love 6 and 7. To be dead ass honest, I don't like 6. 6 is one that I don't like, and people really do enjoy. I've kind of fell back in love with part 7. That's where it's like Carrie versus Jason, like the girl Tina. She's got telekinesis. Got old boy from Weekend at Bernie's. It's got Bernie in it. So I like that one a lot more now that I'm older. Obviously 4 is my favorite. But I would say the first 5 were really close to my heart. But then, like, as I became a teenager, Jason Goes to Hell, Freddy versus Jason, Jason X, these were all movies that I watched a shitload. Like, a shitload. And the bar isn't that high. We're not expecting much except for cool kills and some titties. Like, really, like, if we're being dead ass honest, like, we want to see hot people and murder and funny ways, and it delivers in that. I think there's over 20 something kills in this movie. Like,
is there really?
Yeah,
there is a lot.
Yeah,
especially towards the end.
You get probes, like you get like crazy effects, people melting. Like it's almost like when your favorite, you're an athlete of yours that you like, he goes plays a game of basketball and he has 40 points, but it doesn't feel like it just because it's just like a random game. Or like a player on the field who have like 200 rushing yards, but it's just like, damn, he's just had a casual day, but he's actually kicking ass. Like, it's one of those kind of deals where it's like, yeah, there's kills in here, but then at the end of it, you're like, well, fuck, there's a lot of different ways in this. So we'll obviously get into that later and how we analyze that, but some really cool kills. That's probably the best part of the movie. Not probably, it is the best part of the movie, are all the cool kills. Even Jason in the beginning just getting blown the fuck up. It's super comical, it's hilarious, but they blew his ass up with they would just unload it on him. They
dropped like a mortar on him or something.
Yeah, I'm coming. Like, just the hit squad on him.
Tight. That's a good way to kill him. You know,
but
just fucking absolutely destroy him.
But back then too, like some fucking guy went to see these. Ain't no fucking way. We would just blow his ass up. We'll all shoot him to smithereens. You know, you're like, okay, that was like the mindset. Is that funny to you that people still use the word smithereens?
Yes. I actually like to use smithereens if I have an opportunity to it.
I mean, it's a pirate word that we still use.
It's better than all this new bullshit ass lingo that's going around that I don't understand.
We blew to smithereens.
I'm gonna blow this shit to smithereens.
Yeah.
Rolls off the tongue.
It does.
It works. You get the point.
I'm not exactly sure what a smithereen is, except for tiny pieces. Like,
that's what I would. What it means. There's a bunch of words that I use. I don't know what they mean.
Smithereens.
But I know, like, You ever use a word that you fully don't know the definition of, but you know what it kind of means? Like, people get what you're saying, but it just doesn't work.
I have.
I do that shit a lot.
I get like a big, if I hear a big word that I don't know what it is, I get intrigued. I'm like, what the fuck did you just say?
Oh,
So
dude,
like, I look it
some
up
people
a lot.
talk to me and they say a word, and I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? And I should know what it means, but I just don't. Because, you know, you know, that stuff doesn't work, all right? I got a D in English throughout my entire educational career.
Yeah, and
I speak the shit, so.
And most of the people you talk to in real life are, Jason goes to hell. You know, like, they're not, you know, you're not.
No, just explain to me in basic words, please. Basic words is what I like.
It all makes sense to me. It all makes sense to me.
I do know the difference between there, and there, and you are, and your. I know this stuff.
Yeah,
that's important.
Yeah, those are the basic.
Yeah, that's what's the stuff you gotta know.
You can't be like one of the psychos who spells in all caps or something. Like, you know, like the basics.
That
like,
doesn't work.
No, it's just weird. It's scary. You're like, why are you yelling at me? What the fuck, man?
Was this exclamation point necessary in this point?
We didn't even need all this, dog. There's a few different Jasons, right? I'm trying to think of, like, obviously, the Rocky V Jason is my favorite. That's what I'm going to call him, you know. Touch me and I'll sue, Balboa. Like, I love that guy because he's so over the top. But it just made it funnier to me that he was Jason, and I really thought he crushed the scene of like eating his heart. Like he went full sin.
He did. That was kind of. I was like, oh god.
Yeah.
God damn. Look at him go.
Very.
And
cool.
they spaced it out in between. It's so weird to put it. He starts eating the heart, and it says produced by this guy. Like, what? It's not a good time. Just cut to intros here. This man's eating a heart.
Yeah, and I thought they did a beautiful job. And like we talked about last week with Jaws, Quint's death in Jaws was an exclamation point for the franchise because you knew what sharks could do. You're like, oh, shit, yeah, it could get bad. Like, it could get bad. Like, we might see a scene where somebody just falls in the water and then there's red water that comes up, but we may see somebody get eaten alive in a graphic way. Jason movies also very great at that. You might just get the scene where you see the incoming thing and then it shows somebody's hand squeezing a tomato. Very implied, but that only works as if you get a scene where it shows Jason popping somebody's eyeball out because you know what he can do and it's not all implied. But there's a great balance of this because a really quick death scene, there's a scene where there's like a couple going to their car and this old woman gets her fucking head smashed in the door.
That one hurt, though. That was one that made me go, oh, goddamn.
And it's so quick. Not that graphic, but it's just...
No, that's what it's supposed to be quick. Just, oh, shit. Like,
Yeah.
that'll make you say, oh, shit. It made me say, I was like, oh, shit.
Because that would kill the shit out of you.
Oh, fuck yeah, it would. You ever... Dude,
smash your finger in a car door, dude?
I think that's why it's so intense, because everybody's been slammed by a car door once in your life. You had to have. I got my head slammed on a trunk as a kid. That one fucking hurt.
So they have the quick scenes, but then they also had like when the police officer Josh became Jason, and then Jason leaves his body, and Josh just melts. Like it's one of the most graphic, coolest scenes I've ever seen. Reminds me a lot of Hellraiser, like when Frank is re-getting his skin and he's melting and stuff, but this dude's like melting to the floor and his jaw sticks. Awesome. Like, I mean, over the top awesome. But then you'll get some implied. So I don't know. I just thought there was a good job of like the way they did with the kills. Some were quick, some were subtle, some were off screen, some were super brutal on screen. Like
it's textbook. You just got to, just depends on what you're doing.
Because that keeps you...
like me. Like if you're banging, you are going to get the full brutal murder. Everything's going to show. All right. If you're just minding your own business, you're not really a good character. You're going to get a quick one. That's how you do it.
That seriously though, that was a beautiful, beautiful scene. That tent scene, that death. I mean, first off, what are you going to do if you're sitting there and a girl is riding you and you're in a tent and then all of a sudden a bayonet just rips through her body and goes all the way up her body? Like, dude, I mean, like after I come, I'm going to finish her on her for sure. Like, and then I'm going to fight him. I'm going to try to, try my best
Shut the fuck up.
I'm sorry.
All right, enough of this. Stop. All right, with that, we're gonna go into the what do you know here. Hello, welcome to the What Do You Know Here. This is a segment here where we're here to tell you something that you may or may not know about this movie. Now, you know, you gotta find out what we know. If you don't know, we know you're gonna have a we know gasm. You know how it goes. I'm tired of doing this spiel. Anyways, why don't you tell me something that you may or may not know about this movie?
Look here.
The Jason guy going to the bad place, HC double hockey sticks.
Mm-hmm. Jason Goes to Hell. Now, that's a title.
That's what I said.
That's a good title there.
Uh-huh.
But it almost wasn't the title, and almost wasn't even a concept of the whole film.
Of course not. Why don't you tell me more about it?
You almost went somewhere else. Because you have to understand the movie, you know, before this one, he went to Manhattan. All right, so he's going all over the place. He's going to Manhattan, he's going to New York. This is a busy man. He's traveling all over. Well, the other movie that was on the idea, the chopping block, if you will, pun intended, Jason Goes to L.A. And what was going to happen was he was going to start murdering rival gang members, and then these gang members were going to team up to try to kill Jason.
That would have been a horrible movie.
It would have been so bad, but I would have loved it.
It would have been so bad, it would have been good.
Now, he should do it, like if he did it now, it'd be, you know, he just goes around killing people in tents on Skid Row, like the homeless people.
They should just do every continent, like Jason Goes to Africa.
He becomes an influencer.
Jason Goes to Australia.
Oh, yeah, I'd want Jason Goes to the North Pole.
Yeah.
There's no people up here.
It's like a mole.
Just ran, like after a while, just has to get, you know, real weird. You know, Jason Goes to Louisville, you know. Just Jason Goes to Boise. But these are fun little facts. It could almost been Jason Goes to L.A. He could have been there with the iced tea and everybody.
Well,
colors.
I'm glad we didn't send him there. I'm glad we sent him to hell.
Yeah, it was better.
Yeah.
You got any kind of facts for this movie?
Yeah, I got a nice little homage, a little tribute they did in this movie that you may or may not have noticed. Whatever I just said there. So during the interview, when the bounty hunter guy,
Duke.
That's what I said, Duke. Mm-hmm. So they're interviewing Duke, and he gives away this bounty. He says, you know, I know how to kill Jason for good. He's like, but it's going to cost you $500,000. You'll get the mask, the machete, the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's actually a nice homage, a little tribute to another little movie. We actually did it previously. Not the exact one, but we've done it before. Jaws.
Jaws.
Yeah,
we did
when
that.
Quint tells him, it's like, yeah, you get, when you kill it, you get the shark, the fin, the whole thing. Exactly.
Yeah.
I forget the whole quote, but, you know, it's the same thing.
You get the head, the tail, the whole damn thing.
Exactly. There you go. Yeah. So that was a nice little homage that you may have not have noticed, but now you do notice. So now when you're watching this movie, you can sell that fact out loud and possibly get a little bit of play on your fun parts there for being so smart.
Look, I mean, if we don't die right away, we're indefinitely going to get old, right? That's the fact. That's a fact,
That's
right?
usually how it works,
That's
yes.
how it works. So there's
Unless you're that weird guy that was born old and then becomes young.
the Benjamin Buttons. I heard about him. No. Yep, I know about him. Now, I'm talking about when we get older, we're not going to sound like we do right now, and there's a small possibility that we could be a guy like Quint. You know, I hope I do that, you know, walk around, those eyes, you know. Why the fuck's that old guy so, because he's old. That's why he's creepy. Why is he so...
I'll probably be that girl. Talk to your throat.
A darkness, blackness in his eyes.
Huh? What?
Evil.
What'd you say?
Oh, yeah.
You forgot your church shoes.
Ah.
Yeah.
You see?
I'm
You got to practice it.
gonna get Alzheimer's for fucking sure. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, you never know.
Probably. Most likely.
The only thing you remember is just weird horror facts from the show. It's like that's Mark Goes to Hell.
Well, that's great. You know any more facts about this movie?
I think that's enough.
Good, neither do I. Goodbye.
Well, Mr. Ozark Mark, I think it would be a crime if we discussed the Jason Goes to Hell movie without discussing the infamous diner and the awesome, what would you call her? the waitress,
Employees.
the manager, the manager lady, and her boyfriend, her husband, whatever the fuck they were. They were just a funny pair on screen. She was like kind of cunty, but like in a cool way, like kind of like a badass way, like an understanding way. She just doesn't like people. Yeah. And you're like, oh no, I get it. Like you're actually good underneath all that, but I get it.
I understand.
Yeah. But there was so it was big news that Jason got killed, obviously, because the police did it. So like their little town, a lot of people were visiting. So at this diner, they were like, all right, Jason burgers, buy one, get one. And they were like, there's a scene where a dude came back and he's like, Ma, you really want me to make the burgers look like this? And they look like Jason masks. And she was like, yeah. And she went back there and she cut it up and she said, look at that extra meat, makes another patty. Hence the 2 for 1. Like, I was like, all right. But I would have bought that deal. Like, because I think that diner actually exists. And if they have Jason fingers and Voorhees burgers, like, I would buy the shit out of those. Like, I myself have made burgers like that because of this movie. I want to know if anybody else has tried that, but it's just a thing that's so easy to do.
Yeah, you just make a patty and shape it and then cut eyes out. It's easy.
But it's stupid how well that amuses me. If somebody's like, look at a burger I got you. It's like dino nuggets for a kid. There's a shape. Like, I'm a grown-ass man who would be like, you know, like when you feed a woman and sometimes they like do the dance when you feed them. Like, they're like, they can't even help it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't, first off, feeding a beast. Eat this, beast.
You have to.
Eat a Snickers.
Yeah,
you know.
You have to. That's the number one thing you start to try to do if they're being ridiculous. You just give them something. Yeah. Like chicken nuggets or something.
Good luck. You're a man. You're going to take your woman out all day, and you're just like, no, she'll adhere to my food schedule and when I eat.
That's hilarious.
Have fun with your day, bud.
Nah, dude, that's
Have
why.
fun with
first
your
of all,
day.
Rookie mistake. You
start with food.
First of all, no, you bring food in secret compartments. So when you start getting that first sign of just fucking look here, an Uncrustable. There you go.
I heard Tom Papa.
Oh, here's a nice coffee. Hey, who likes that? Everybody does. Especially you.
I heard Tom Papa, the comedian. He was like, I'll take my kids to Disney or whatever, but he was like, and you know what I'll let them do? Whatever they want. He's like, trust me, it's the strategy. They get there and they're like, I want to eat cotton candy and sugar and blah, blah, blah. Sure. Just feed them all kinds of fucking sugar. See how that works out for you. I want to ride It's a Small World, then walk all the way across the park to ride this one. Okay, we'll do that. 3 hours in, these kids are fucking dead. They're like laying on the sidewalk like, we want to go home. That's how you got to start with the lady. All right, you start with brunch because that's really exciting. They love that. Hey, there's an excuse to put on a stupid ass hat and an outfit. Bottomless mimosa.
No.
They're there.
No, what you do.
They're there.
No, but this is the key. All right, you let them go. Well, it's not let them. You just don't care. I mean, it's not like you need permission. It's just like, I'm gonna go have brunch with my friends. Please do.
I'm saying if you're involved.
Oh no, I am not.
I'm just saying if you're in that situation where you're involved, right, and you're the breakfast. You're the victim, right? So what you do, you start off hot and heavy with a good idea, like brunch, because they love that shit. And they're like, oh, this is fun and spontaneous. And they'll do that, right? And then you're like, you know what? Let's go to fucking Target. Let's do that. You want to make those returns you were talking about? you want to do all that dumb shit you were actually talking about? And about 3 hours in, after you feed them a bunch of shit and give them like 4 mimosas and run them around to wherever,
Exactly.
I need a nap. You know what, babe? We could do that. Don't worry. We can go home and nap. I won't be offended. I've wanted to nap all day, mind you. That was my plan in the first place. Yeah, no big deal. We could head back home, take a little nap. That's no worries. That's the plan, dog.
That's the plan.
It's like, you ever seen a dog in the house knocking shit all over all the time? You just got to get him out and run him out. Yeah. Throw the ball 50 times.
You just got to drain people of their energy. It's not that hard. You've got energy, you got to do something to get rid of it. And that's easy, and it's very easy to do.
And sometimes it's killing camp counselors.
Hey, dude, one of the funniest parts, though, that made me crack up was the fact that the diner lady's boyfriend, I forget what his name was.
I did too.
But his death was hilarious because Jason's in there and he's tearing up the diner and he's got the gun. He shoots him once, but then he starts coming at him again. He's like, Oh shit!
Yeah,
that was a nice little touch. That was funny.
I did like that a whole lot. I liked Steven's character, how he got his fucking fingers broken a bunch of times by Duke to get answers, which was totally fucked. Like, why do you need to break his fingers for that? Like, you could just tell him this information. Like, you just tell him, I'm not getting my fingers broke. But that was painful. Yeah. But there was this guy, Robert, and Robert, like, was like a news anchor for this, like, hard copy style show that was doing shit on Jason. And eventually, at some point, he becomes Jason. And I think, like, aside from the actual Jason, he was the scariest. He looked cool, man. Like, he had to look down. But when he took that girl out and him at the same time, like, she stabbed him and then he pulled her into her and stabbed her, too. It was like, oh, that's pretty gnarly.
Yeah, that's pretty gnarly.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
That was an intense one.
Yeah, I liked that. But that's what I'm saying. Some of these, like, you don't even think about. Like, you get, like, it wasn't even a bayonet. It was like a ground spike through the tent, ripped them up. The head smash in the fucking door. The probe with the coroner just straight. Like, that was kind of a cool scene because the table was grated. Yeah. So like it just looked like hamburger meat was. I don't know. It was just an interesting, cool scene. But yeah, man, quite a few different style deaths. But just, I would say that I've thought about how I'm going to rank the kills in this for a while because I know the movie well, but I'm like, man, this is obviously the strongest category. But what did last week's movie score? 2.5?
Yeah.
Yeah, not well.
No, I have a feeling as a horror movie, this might do a little better than the last one.
Yeah.
But you know what? There's only one way to find out.
Woo!
Sloppy horror rating, baby, yeah! Oh yeah, you know what that sexy sound is. This is the one and only one-of-a-kind, world-famous, earth-renowned Sloppy Horror Podcast rating developed by Christian Ramey, your horror movie companion guy person himself. And he's developed this horror movie rating based on a horror movie. What makes a horror movie? Not a movie in general. Keep that shit in mind, you fuck.
Yeah.
So, we're going to do this in a series of 4 categories. 3 categories worth 3 points. Last category is worth 1.48 total love.
10 points altogether.
Yeah. So, let's get into the first category here in the Sloppy Horror Podcast rating, and that is casting.
You know, for this one, believe it or not, I'm going to give this fucker a 1.5. Because everyone really kind of sells what they're doing. It's kind of, there are actors in this from Rocky V, the redheaded lady at the diner. That's the same redhead lady that was in fucking Perfect Storm. You know, like she's been in a lot of shit too. But there are people throughout this who are recognizable. Obviously, you have Kane Hodder as Jason, so like I'm gonna give that a 0.5 point on its own, if I'm being dead ass honest with you. But these people were actors, like that Steven guy, like when he's driving. Like, these people are believable actors. There are slasher movies where you put them on and you're like, woof. When are these people going to die? Because I cannot watch them act any longer. Don't exactly feel that way with this one. Not great, but it just does just enough. So I really feel confident about the 1.5. I don't know if you feel different, but you can obviously feel different. You can speak on it.
Now 1.5's fine. So that's 1.5 so far here on the Sloppy Horror Podcast rating. Let's get into the second category here in the Sloppy Horror Podcast rating, and that is kills.
So, for a movie with 20-something kills, all in different ways, you would think it would be a 3, and it has potential to be, but I'm feeling very confident with this one at a 2.5. There's a lot of variety. There's a large variety. There's gory ones. There's implied ones. But I don't know. I feel like there's just something missing where it doesn't send it over the top. We almost needed like a girl cut in half, or we needed like we needed that one, a blowtorch to the face. We needed one that was kind of the exclamation point, if you will. And I don't have that with this. But there are so many kills and such a wide variety. And K&B Effects, the people like Greg Nicotero, they did so many great movies, legendary effects artists. they worked on this, and like the makeup work still holds up. Dude melting and shit, that still looks incredible. Like it's great work, but I just still feel like it's missing something. And I don't know, you feel that way?
It's just missing on the one, like you said. That's what I was thinking, like the one that just iconic kill. Because when you think of the kills in here, usually when you have a 3, you have just everything in this plus one iconic kill that was just, oh my god.
Yep.
Like the one that you think of instantly. Like when you say Jason, if I said Jason goes to hell, not one specific kill comes to your mind. It might, but not one that's just like that.
Not
kill.
like Jason X with with him smashing a girl's head after he freezes it. That's such a legendary kill.
Exactly. There's not really a legendary kill in this. Now they're all good, so I agree with you with that. So that's 2.5 plus 1.5, so that's 3, 4. 4 out of 10 so far here in the Sloppy Horror Podcast ratings. Going to the final 3-point category here in the Sloppy Horror Podcast rating, and that is fear.
It's got to be a half a point because I, at young ages, was afraid of Jason and Michael at some point. Like, I would still watch them, but I'm not afraid. I secretly was kind of, but, like, I enjoyed to watch them still. Never got that from this one. This was like a FUBU. This was for me, and I enjoyed the hell out of it. So I'm really thinking half a point here. It's not scary.
No, it's not scary, but you still have the one demographic that's scared of Jason no matter what, which is still a very small portion, especially when it comes to this one. But there's still going to be some people that are scared of this. Not a lot, but there's always that select group of people that still we. So this movie could have freaked someone out, ruined their life.
Oh, yeah.
Not a lot. Not many people fall into that, but somebody is. I guarantee it. Guarantee you that. So that's 4.5 so far here in the Sloppy Horror Podcast ratings. Get to the final 1-point category for half a point each here in the Sloppy Horror Podcast rating, and that is rewatchability.
Yep. There's none. There's none from the big franchises that I'm gonna say no to, unless it was like the Elm Street remake. But that's it. Even the worst of the worst, all rewatchable to me. That's like the whole premise of those slashers. Like I said, each one, even though their stories can kind of tie together, it really doesn't matter. Like, if you pick up A Nightmare on Elm Street 5, like, yeah, okay, you can, it helps to know the story, but they explain it in all of them. Like, they every movie, every Halloween, every Jason, the whole fucking movie, they're explaining, they're like, well, you gotta be a Voorhees to kill a Voorhees. Whatever the premise is, they're explaining it all movies. So that was kind of the appeal. And these, like I alluded to earlier, these weren't meant to be binged the way that things are binged now. They just were movies on a shelf. Nobody was renting 7 Friday the 13th at once. Like, that wasn't the way. I tried. My dad wouldn't let me. But that's not how it worked. You just get one. And it wasn't like you're like, I got 1 this week, I'll go for 2 next week. It just wasn't how it was, man. And I don't know. For all of these, I just give it a fuck yeah. I just give them a fuck yeah.
I mean, it's a Jason movie. That's the whole premise of it. They're always going to be rewatchable. You're watching it for Jason. It's an iconic character. Everybody loves Jason. He's one of the big 3. How could you not rewatch one of his movies? It's just fun. It's a fun little movie. Nice something to put on when you're in the mood for it. It's definitely rewatchable.
Seems like something fun to work on.
So that is a total of 5.
5.5.
Is it 5.5? 5.5 out of 10 for Jason Got to Hell.
Jason Got to Hell.
Jason Got to Hell here on the Sloppy Horror Podcast, right back up in your ass.
Jason got to hell and he never come back.
But then he come back.
Yeah, he does. He goes to space. I mean, I'm telling you, he's a busy man. He was traveling all around.
Jason goes to the moon.
Jason goes to NASA. NASA. Jason.
Well, there you go.
Fun stuff.
Now you know.
Another one in the books, boys and girls. That's another one in the books.
Oh, boy.
Now, here's what I do have to say. So, we're going to crank out a couple Patreon episodes for this month. Figure something out. Figure something simple out. Have some fun. But I tell you what, some good premises now that we really have, Mark, for Patreon ideas. And this was kind of always an idea from the get-go, which we did, but stupid-ass pandemic happened, and then actor strike happened. So there was, like, no movie news. Like, and if it was all fucking rumors. Now we've got hard dates, releases, shit coming out. So on the Patreon, we can definitely dedicate some of these episodes to however long they turn out, but to giving news, like just like a kind of like a this is what's going on in news. This is movies that are released to come out. This is what's happening. Like, these are fun conversations. So obviously, if you want to be a part of that conversation, you can go over to patreon.com/sloppyhorror for as cheap as $3 a month. You can participate in that. Help us keep the lights on because, as you could tell, if you've made it through this whole episode with 0 advertisements, we're not turning that on. So this is how we keep the lights on, along with all of our funky fresh merchandise. So if you want to walk around supporting Sloppy Horror on your t-shirt, on your hoodie, on your coffee mug, well, there's places to do so. If you look down in the description of all of our videos and audio episodes, you can find links for that. So... And then, if you're like, fuck all that, I'm not spending no dollars because I don't feel like it, well, that's okay too. You could really just subscribe to YouTube, rate the show, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Follow us on all of these. And I know it sounds silly, but it really goes a lot further than you think. If you see us sharing clips, sharing things, help us out. And you could share. It's completely free to share. Helps people out. They help to find the show because we do this the organic way. Now, we are moving right along into this season. Jason Goes to Hell kicked the shit out of Jaws 3. That is the case there. Obviously, at the end of this, we're going to count up for the 90s and 80s, see who the true winner is, see who won each category. But, my friend, next week, we have to get into 85 versus 95. Now, we can switch it up whichever way you want to go. We can go Fright Night first. We can go Species first. Which one you feeling?
I don't care.
Okay, well, we'll figure it out.
You usually just tell me, and I go, okay.
Well, let's do Fright Night. I feel like that's fresher in your brain.
Fright Night. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. It is.
So, Fright Night, we're going to cover that one. Great movie. So, all you folks... I know there's a lot of Fright Night fans out there, so be ready for that, man. Be ready. I'll give you some more content. And also, too, I want you guys to write into the show and let us know because I love all the content that we could give you. But if there's a different structure, like say if you guys liked that ASMR episode I did, you want one of those every month? That takes nothing. That takes nothing for me to do. But if it's entertainment that you guys will enjoy, and it will entertain you, let us know. Takes nothing to do. You like our movie commentaries? Let us know. There's nothing for us to do. We can even make a few of those, like after some time. We can make them, like release them on Patreon, but after some time, release, 1 or 2 to the public. That's what we're here to do. We're here to entertain you with horror movies and try to educate you on them. Because, as the tagline says, we are the most educational and entertaining horror podcast on the planet. All right, and we work hard to do so. So, I don't know. This is what we're doing. We're in the middle of it, in the thick of it, as they would say. Who do you think is going to win this, Mark? The 80s or the 90s? I knew this would happen because at first we got a good score count, but after a while, it's just kind of like I don't fucking remember.
Probably my money's on the 80s. Mm-hmm. Just because that's what I think. I think there's a lot more classics in the 80s compared to the 90s probably, but I don't know. I honestly forget all of the scores that we've done so far. So I completely forget everything.
I forget the scores too, but just going off looking at the titles next to each other, I feel like the 90s is going to win overall. Just because the titles, like we didn't just pick random movies, we picked the #1 horror movie at the box office for these years. So like it's not our fault that Jaws 3 was the #1 horror movie of 1983. I can't help that. Like that's what that is. But I feel like the 90s could win overall, but I feel like the 80s is going to win in the fucking kills department. Major. Like probably. I feel like the 80s is going to crush in kills like at the end of it. Yeah. But I don't know. 80s could end up being a winner. Now, if you say which decade gave us better horror, I'm going 80s 100%, but that's not the premise of the season. Premise is to jam it in your box office.
Well, it's fucking heating up, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're getting in it.
The heat is on.
We're all swole up.
Yeah. When's the last time you seen Beverly Hills Cop?
I don't know.
No banana in my tailpipe, man.
I don't know.
That's a good one.
But they're always great movies, though.
It was on TV.
I think they recreated or something.
I don't know.
I think they made a new one.
Oh, yeah, I think they're making one. It's got Eddie Murphy. I don't know.
Stop touching stuff.
Yeah, the original is just classic.
Just stop. There's
a lot.
With it pertaining.
I think it was a lobster bisque sandwich, sir.
Just get the fuck out of here.
No, I won't get the fuck out of here.
No.
Are you sure? He makes it in the back with a little lemon twist. Are you sure?
Quite tasty.
Bro, that shit was so fun.
I
He
know.
says, "What are you doing here? Button this up. What is this, for a dog to scruff? That's not sexy. That's not sexy." If that guy was like a guy in my life, he would be one of my favorite people.
Oh, I know. They just don't. Oh, God, they don't make movies like that anymore, man.
At all.
They don't.
At all.
That's sad. Those are always good.
Even the silent part, even Damon Wayans, just, you can keep these bananas. You can have these bananas. You can have these bananas. Yeah, those were great. I feel you remember 48 Hours? That one kind of gets slept on, where it was him and Nick Nolte. They were both cops, and where he's like, "We're not partners and we ain't friends." And it was a dad movie. They watched the fuck out of those, but that one was good too. Eddie Murphy as a cop just worked. It just worked.
Some things just work.
Now,
Some things just work, man.
if you guys are still stuck at work, we are sorry that you don't have any more time left to the episode. But what we do have for you guys is plenty of other episodes. You jump into it. I have been trying to update all of our social medias as far as like thumbnails on our
Social
videos.
medias.
Yeah, and also I want to make the YouTube page a little bit more interactive as far as like making playlists, because we have covered a lot of Friday the 13th, a lot of Elm Streets, a lot of... So if we have anything like that, I'm going to try to group those together in playlists to make things a little easier for you guys. But I cannot express it enough how much help we need. And I'm not that kind of like, all right, guys, smash that like button. I'm not asking that. I'm asking you as a person who works hard, along with Ozark Mark, to deliver an hour of and more of great entertainment each and every week. If you could just do the 4 free things, that helps us out major, especially all year long. So
All year long.
because some of you motherfuckers out there, you guys got big followings. You guys got more of a following than you know. And even if you got one extra person to listen to Sloppy Horror Podcast, that's one more person than that's listening right now. So,
Uh-huh.
see what I'm saying?
So, know what I'm saying?
Know what I'm saying?
See what I'm saying?
See what I'm saying?
Know what I mean?
Know what I'm saying?
Know what I mean?
Don't be counting my know what I'm saying.
Know what I'm saying? Know what I'm saying?
What, you know what I'm saying, police?
I say know what I'm saying, and I'm just because of that show. I just say it in like regular when I'm talking. It doesn't sound right.
Did you see ICP was just on your mom's house and they just clipped afterwards how many times
I'm the one
they
that showed you that.
Yeah, oh, that was so funny.
It's like 2 minutes of them saying, know what I'm saying? You know what I mean?
Know what I'm saying.
And Tom Segura's like, yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, I get it.
Oh, my God. Well, boys and girls, that was a fun episode, wasn't it? I hope we entertained you like we always do. And we'll be back next week. Promises.
Yep.
But you stay sexy, and we'll see you soon.
Goodbye, guys.